Hello everyone and welcome to Young China. We are a half Chinese Brit and a Siberian Russian living in China. We help you demystify and translate Chinese culture and lifestyle. My name is Lucien.
And my name is Artem. We are entrepreneurs who made it in China and now we are sharing our experience with you.
So last time we talked about a few things that maybe people would think are a little bit negative about China, like smoking, drinking, this obsession with white color. And so to reverse that anti-propaganda, we're now going to be doing some pro-China propaganda. Are we?
I don't think it was anti-China propaganda.
Okay. Well, I mean
like drinking and smoking is the whole world problem. I'm not sure like Chinese drinking culture is worse than British drinking culture. Maybe even better. At least they don't fight.
So today we've talked all the way from afternoon naps to touching upon work schedules, and we've even talked a little bit about factory culture in Chinese factories. Hey Artem, how are you doing today? You look super tired. Like your bags under your eyes are bigger than the backpack that I carried to the studio today.
Sorry, it's hard to me to come with all thoughts today because I don't know, I'm too sleepy. I probably need an afternoon nap.
Okay. Well then, I think I know the topic of our conversation today.
But do you have usually afternoon naps?
I have. Actually, my benchmark for seeing if someone is really Chinese, like, is whether they can sleep anywhere and everywhere at a second, like within a
No, but
within an instant.
it's another skill. It's in a nap now. And the thing is, I used to have it like almost every day when I was working in Chinese company.
Really?
And it was kind of it's kind of really good reboot for your mind.
Yeah, sure.
And you it's the second morning of the day.
Why don't you explain to everyone about what afternoon naps are for people who are listening outside of China?
It's a common thing. It's like for everyone. Usually lunch breaks in Chinese companies and factories, it's more than 1 hour here. Sometimes like 2 hours, like siesta in Spain or Portugal. But on siesta, sometimes they don't sleep. They're just chilling. But Chinese people really sleep.
So actually, I've never had that habit of going to sleep during lunchtime.
Never.
Right? Never. Certainly never in England, right? Even though you're tired, like, you after you have your lunch, like your belly's full and you're a bit tired, but you just kind of like keep going with work. And then when I came to China, I noticed a lot of my colleagues were sleeping. And because actually everything kind of shuts down, right? So you're kind of like, you don't even have anything to do.
Yeah.
And so you're like, oh, maybe I should try a nap.
Yeah.
And so I tried it for the first time, a few years ago. And it really, really has an effect. Like it is, like you say, like you reboot to a second morning. But again, for me, because I don't have that habit, like it would happen like once a week. But if I sit down and I try to sleep, it's not so easy for me.
Yeah,
right?
That's what I felt. Like you have nothing to do when everyone's sleeping. When I first time come to China, it was my first job in Dongguan on the factory. And on the first week on my work, when it was like 12 o'clock lunch break, and then I went to the canteen to eat with everyone. And the thing is, like it was like the big canteen for all factory workers. Then it was for management and office workers, Chinese one. And then with a split for foreigners, and we have a special cook, like a Chinese IE, who not like some special, but she learned how to cook well. And there was Italian
oh my God.
Italian technician who taught her a lot how to make some like macarons. I mean, like not the fancy one, but it was okay European food, like just the normal, like, in many Chinese cafes, they have this European sandwiches, like pasta. Yeah. So after that, everyone, like factory workers, they went to sleep, like because they have dorms there. The factory is like ecosystem. They have all there, canteen, dorms. They live there because they're from villages and they come there. So they go to their dorms to have a nap and then go back to the factory. They're like office workers, all people was sleeping just on their tables.
So
You know, like-
well, when you say they sleep on their tables, it sounds weird.
But
Basically,
how do you describe this?
they're not lying down on their tables, man. So they're sitting on their chairs and they put their arms on the desk and their head on their arms.
But there is also like a couple of sofa for sure, like in office or meeting rooms, they also occupy it. But in this case, you need to finish your lunch as soon as possible and then
So you
go
can go
to get it. This is the best places here. But again, foreign stuff, we have our own chill room where we have our lunches, and then like I start to just like check in my phone, like emails, talk to friends, and then an Italian guy and another Russian technician, they just like fell asleep. And what the fuck? Why, guys? I was like, and then like I tried couple of times, and then I used to it. Like in 2 weeks, I used to it. It was like again like lunch, afternoon nap. But the thing is, the rule, it shouldn't be over 20 minutes or 30 minutes. Otherwise, you will like woke up too
groggy.
Yeah.
Like you get into like deep sleep, right?
Yeah, sure. So it's kind of an art of afternoon nap. You need to feel this. That's why I start to set up alarm clock. So to get up, because like few times I was like, oh my God, like a zombie the whole day.
I know what you mean.
And in the evening you cannot fall asleep, and there's like the whole day ruined.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. But so for me, actually, what I was so interested in when I came to China was that a lot of offices, particularly co-working spaces, they actually have actual bunk beds in an office.
Yeah.
So I kind of thought that everyone napped, but it was kind of like, don't let the boss know or don't let the management know. You just kind of have a lunch break, then you have your nap. But actually, it seems that the management of some places, they encourage you to nap, so they even build bunk beds for you to go to sleep in.
They even have a WeWork on Fuxinglu. They have this.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I also thought like better than like your bosses cannot catch you, but bosses also do this. Even in big companies, even in the banks. One time I remember we come to the PwC office, and then people were sleeping the same in the office. Like, you know, like fancy dresses, PwC office, and then like this skyscraper, and they sleep also.
Imagine going back to England and seeing like some PwC executives just like having a nap. I feel that Chinese people, they listen to their bodies more.
Yeah.
In many ways, right? So when they're tired, they sleep. So actually, if you go around,
where they're hungry, they eat.
Yeah, I mean, if you go around, not so much now anymore, but certainly when I was younger, you'd see a lot of like taxi drivers. They're parked up just by the side of the road, and you'll just see them sleeping, right? Because they're tired, so they need to sleep. That just makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And then you walk around town, you see all these shops, especially after lunch. People are tired and they go to sleep. I mean,
it's natural.
It's natural.
I think it's in deep in our blood. That's what we did like 2,000 years ago for sure. After like hunting.
And so the point is that actually, when I first got here, I thought, oh, why are people always sleeping? That's not very efficient. It's kind of a little bit lazy. Actually, I realized that it increases, it boosts your efficiency.
Yeah, there is a lot of researches.
Yeah.
This is like scientific proofs that after this short reboot, it's bad for health if you went to the deep sleep on afternoon nap. But it's small reboot really helps a lot efficiency of your any physical or like mental job. And the thing is, when I realized how important it's for Chinese people, because that factory was like half joint venture, half owned by Russian, and the top manager were the Russian guys who are not that deep in Chinese culture. One time they thought like, why we should like work till like say 6:30. We can work till 6 if you short our lunch break to 1 hour. Before it was 1 hour and a half, which already was complained about. Like they asked for 2 hours. Some factories have 2 hours, and we have 1 hour and a half. And then they made it 1 hour. So they said like, you can go home earlier. Actually, there is no homes. There is only dorms for factory workers. So they're still staying there. But anyway, you can sabar. You can like finish your work earlier. This is good. So they make this new rule and they announce this. And like in 2-3 hours, it was really kind of a boycott. It was like all factory workers, around like 100 people went out of the factory. They have their leaders there, and they say like, we will not keep working if you like not change back. And they say,
wow.
They say like, and then because I was kind of an assistant to general manager, and then I explained him what's going on, and I had he cannot speak Chinese, and I talked to the guys, and then they say, we just literally cannot work if we don't sleep.
Sure.
Try to go and work this hard physical job every day with this leather and all this like factory if you don't sleep. So if we need to like sacrifice, we eat less or we sleep or don't sleep at all. So they say we will not work. And then in one day they put all back.
Oh wow.
And that time I realized how important is it. After a few months on the factory, I also realized how important it is, like even in terms of sales. You know, Chinese sales, they are like, if they see the deal, they are like, go for it.
Yeah.
They can drink on KTV until the morning, whatever, make this deal happen, right?
Yeah.
But when customer come lunch break and they sleep, they really say, they like not available.
Wow.
They don't go out to meet him.
Wow.
They even say like, could you come earlier, or they just don't reply. They just, you know, this thing.
Yeah.
It's even not on factory. Sometimes like some important thing and you message someone like at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, no any replies.
Yeah.
They probably see it, but they don't care.
Yeah.
Because it's more important for them, eat and sleep. You know?
I think that's pretty true. So that's one thing I want to ask you about regarding afternoon naps, break times and work times. So the lunch break would be between an hour and a half to 2 hours, and they still finish at 6:30. That's what time do they start then? 8:30? 9:30?
Something like this. I already forgot. Just like it's the same. It's 8 hours work. It's 8 hours. It's not like this Chinese factory workers work like 20 hours. If you want, you can work and you will have bonuses. Some of like workers can work like, you know, like 12 hours, 14 hours per day, but then they salary increases like twice. Yeah. Really. Yeah. Especially if it's joint venture, because like Chinese, these departments, they really take care of like foreign companies. I mean, like you have more responsibilities if you're a foreign company, and they keep an eye on you. So you respect the labor in China and all these things.
Yeah. No, I understand.
It's a good advice to all people. You better don't try to contact Chinese people from 12 to 2 o'clock Beijing time. Even if you're like in another country and you want to talk with your Chinese partner or even friend, they will not be efficient. Probably they will be sleeping or something, and you will annoy them.
So you see, actually, when we're at WeWork, it depends on which WeWork. There are some WeWorks which have a lot of sleeping spaces, but the WeWork we were in, actually, there wasn't that much. And I think this is one of those things, again, where a foreign entity comes into China and they try to do things in a very international way without understanding, demystifying and translating Chinese culture, right? And that's the whole thing. You see so many different foreign entities doing the same thing. They'll come into China trying to bring a strategy that works back home but doesn't work here because they haven't attuned to what is local. Yeah.
Even some companies don't understand the importance of Chinese holidays, for example, that they need to give like days off more. And Chinese people even don't care about the, let's say, like annual 30 days or something like this. For Chinese people, it's more important to be free when all China having days off, right? Chinese people will never arrange meetings 11:30 because half an hour for sure it's not enough to talk, and then it comes to the very important food time and nap time. And then I also, when I was working there, I was talking to my sales, for example. Sometimes I go with Chinese sales together for some negotiations. Say, let's go. No. Then we will not respect people's time about they need to eat. I say, come on, they can eat like 1 hour later, okay? No, cannot. It's business, it's money. And you know, like even money and business cannot change this habit.
I think that's one of the things that's always surprised me about China, and it still kind of shocks me, even though I'm used to it now, is how early people eat here. So back home, lunchtime is like 1 o'clock afternoon. Here, people go for lunch like 11:30 a.m.
11 even. 11.
Right, 11:30, and you're like, I still think it's early, but I'd still do it.
Like, because they start work early.
Yeah, that's true.
Many people. Like,
especially older generation or very stable jobs, like working retail banking. They just start their day very early.
Yeah, even they start the job, like, let's say from 9 o'clock. They still get up very early and they eat very early. They don't understand the concept of brunches at all. even on weekends, At the same time, if you go for food schedule, it's in the evening for sure. 7, it's the latest when you need to have your dinner.
Yeah,
because after that, it's called 宵夜. It means like kind of
midnight snack or something.
Midnight snack,
evening snack.
Yeah.
But that's actually very interesting in terms of restaurant times opening as well. I mean, Shanghai's okay because there's so many people. But if you go to smaller towns, outside of lunchtime, so if you're hungry at 3 p.m., no chance. You won't find lunch.
After living in the big cities like Shenzhen and Shanghai, I really forgot about this thing. That's why when we were cycling around the Jiangsu and Zhejiang provinces, and we cannot find open restaurant even on 1:30. No, people was finishing their food, but restaurant boss say, sorry, I'm closing soon.
Yeah.
1:30. And you cannot eat. And like then next few days, we were trying to set up our schedule up to this Chinese hours of like from 11 to 1 o'clock, you should have your lunch. Otherwise, you will go to McDonald's only. But it's healthy. I mean, like if you go to any Western doctor and you will say that you have stomach problems, they will say you need to set up the schedule of your meals for sure. No, it's super important when your body takes food, like if it's the same time every day, it influences a lot on your health. I mean, like in a good way.
Well, I mean, for us, you and me, and I guess a lot of other people who are entrepreneurs, food and actually health has taken like second priority for us, right?
So what time they go to sleep usually?
I mean, that's a mega generalization, but some of the older generation, they go to bed well early.
No, it's the same in Russia.
You think?
No. Actually, my grandma, she's like watching series till late night.
Oh no, that's terrible. So some of the older generation, I'd say even like 40s, they're in bed by like 10:30, like they're done.
Yeah.
Because they're up so early. Right?
Yeah, they up very... I lived before in Changlelu, in the historical center of Shanghai, and most of my neighbors were these old people. And it's really like 4:30, 5 o'clock. Yeah. Sometimes I wake up because they start to live, They start to talk, they start to like make different noises. 5 o'clock. Yeah. Our old people also get up early, but not that early.
I think it depends also on the generation. I don't know why old people love to get up so early. What are they going to do all day? But they're up. Like
yoga and meditation.
So my neighbors where I live now are also really old because I live in this very old building called the Embankment Building. It's almost 100 years old. It's one of the very big historical buildings in Shanghai. And my neighbors, like, sometimes they wake up to the sound of, like, garlic and onion fried, like, around 5 a.m. And they're cooking up, I don't know, maybe their lunch for their son or lunch for the family. But they start early and they prepare it early so it's done for the day. But again, as you say, they're up super early and they're in bed super early.
I think it's again about rhythm, biological rhythm, They get up with the sun. Yeah. And they go to sleep with the sun.
Sure.
So that's what they do.
Yeah.
When it's like in summertime, 4:30, 5 o'clock, it's already like sunrise, and they get up with the sun.
But I think people our age, I've noticed that a lot of people our age, I'm not sure if this is all over the world or just China, but certainly I've noticed it in China is that a lot of people have pretty bad schedules our age. Like they're up late till 12 a.m., 1 a.m., even if they've got work early the next day.
This is the same. There's TikTok problem.
I think that's just mobile phone addiction or something. I don't know.
And what I do now, 1 hour before sleep, I put my phone just like downstairs and my bedroom on the second floor.
So Artem is showing off about his penthouse apartment, which has 2 floors.
Yes, and it's not that teeny lofts like in a.
It's a real apartment with 2 real floors. Yeah. Yes, Artem.
Yeah, good. So I put my phone there, and I have only my Kindle up, and it works well. You see, today I'm so fresh. No, actually, it's still more factors which influence your life. Young generation is like 压力太大.
Yeah, it's too much pressure, I think. And it's terrible, actually. Also, I think a lot of people put the pressure on themselves, right? And so I remember watching this documentary about a big factory and the life there is a huge factory. I think it's one of the biggest factories in the world in Xiamen. It's almost like an extension of university, right? You live, you work, you fall in love there. Some people even like get married there. So all the money that you earn there is literally saved, which actually is really, really cool because they'll do, say, 5 years or 10 years or whatever, and then they'll go back with
to the village
with like a big bundle of cash, basically.
And build this big villas, really, which I saw in many Zhejiang villages, and buy a good car and got some support from the government.
But you think about this, like even at 5,000 RMB a month, if you're saving all of that, that is good going. Because even back home, like, or you know, my friends here in Shanghai who have good salaries, the cost of the rent, maybe, I don't know, 5 to 10,000 RMB a month, plus all your food and all that kind of stuff. I mean, they're not saving that much. I think if you're on 20,000 RMB here in Shanghai, probably, if you're very frugal, you can save 8,000 RMB. Probably. But in Shanghai, there are so many places to spend your money. Not only like restaurants and bars and stuff, but just every time you go out is an opportunity to spend most. Actually, one of my friends, she now just doesn't go out that much because she was like, every time I go out, I spend money like buying milk tea or some little snacks. I just don't want to go out anymore because every time I go, I spend another 100, 200 RMB.
That's why I moved to Nangxiang. But now they build this super big mega mall, which is even more expensive here in Jingnan. That's what China government actually do. They try to...
They encourage spending, right? They encourage spending because it stimulates the economy.
In every village, actually.
But it is... I don't know if this is just me growing up a little bit, but do you notice that nothing is free? Like, not really.
Okay, welcome to the real world, my son.
I mean, every time I go out, like, you have to spend.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's actually just not that much that's for, like, maybe except the park, and that's where all the old people are, I guess. They get up super early just to go there.
I don't know why actually you mentioned this mega factory, because like the same happens like in any small factories, which I gave you an example, the factory I worked in. The same. I mean, like people just come as a to university, right? From the village, and they have dorm, they have like food, they have all this, and they have this 保险 insurance, like.
But actually, what was really cool about the documentary I watched, because there were like literally thousands of people there. They even had like their own medical complex there. They had like in the evenings you can go and take some courses. Extra courses, I don't know, like learning English or something. And then I think they even had like their own police system, because there's so many people, of course there's going to be some like low-level crime, like investigative security.
Yeah, there is, for sure. There is. I mean, like when I was working there, for example, one worker and his wife just was working in the opposite factory, which is like really cross the small road, and there's another factory, and the child works on another factory, for example. Really, there is like all the people who have the second generation who also works there. What did I do after I stopped to eat in the foreigners' kitchen, and I went to like workers' canteen sometimes to just chat and talk with them and to understand better vibes and to understand actually better what's going on the production lines, because I was responsible on some things to understand what's going on there.
I can just imagine you this fresh, blue-eyed, like a
curious
little
teenager.
Boy, just going there just to understand China.
Yeah, they loved me actually. I mean, like after that, I hang out with them sometimes, like play basketball there. So it was good, and that's how I actually understand a lot about factory process, about business culture, about like working culture in China, and really. It was good times, and then I escaped and went to Guangzhou. But I didn't live in dorms, frankly speaking. I had like apartments 40 minutes from that factory.
40 minutes?
Yeah, by car, but we have a personal drivers.
Oh, come on, 40 minutes is miles away.
It's like 20 kilometers something. Yeah, because it's factory zone and no one.
Oh, there's no residents there? Oh, I guess so.
Yeah. The residents are the workers. They have their own restaurants. I went to some my colleagues from office who also lived in the dorm, and they have a wedding there, and
wow.
All another factory guys all come together. It's different countries,
I think that's really interesting that you've had this real factory experience, because I think a lot of white-collar guys like myself who come to Shanghai, we don't, right? So I just see this like fancy life here, but you really get to interact with those
shit.
That's incredible, huh? Was it mostly you interacting on this kind of friendly basis with the locals, or were the other foreigners also?
There were not many foreigners, only top managers, me, and few technicians. So they were anyway in the office, because we like international company and have some foreign customers also. Chinese people like sales, and they could speak English. So anyway, we interacted with them and even went like for dinners, whatever. And that time, like, there was a very interesting, it was like team of the girls, like 5 girls in the office, sales office. And I was sitting together with them to like talk about some business, whatever. And it was very nice, because firstly, they was thinking I'm a spy from the boss, something like that. But then I was actually more on their side and tried every time to explain the boss, and didn't understand anything about Chinese culture and why it's like that and all the things. And I learned a lot from them. It was like girls in their 30s or 40s, and like real Chinese from like smaller towns, and they work hardly. And that's few of them bought 2 or 3 houses back to their homes.
Oh my god!
Because they sales,
the
factories, and they also still live in dorms, so very cheap apartment near factories. Yeah, usually, and they have cars, but they don't show off a lot, because probably there's some secret deals, some huiko, how to say, like it's
kickback.
Yeah, some kickbacks for sure. I was good friend with one of the girl and her husband. I went to her home sometimes to eat dinner, and she explained me how she bought 3 houses.
Oh my god!
In Jiangsu, I think, and her plans was like to build the 4th house just for herself and her family and go back there. So probably she will never work again.
Yeah, sure.
After 15 years spent on factory, which is actually tough. Could you imagine from like 20 years old to 35 years old with her husband, she spent like 15 years in the factory in Dongguan.
Yeah.
But then the rest of her life is okay.
Yeah.
Probably she will open some small business in a village.
Actually, I'm really curious then also, you just said she's from Jiangsu, which is kind of middle China, and you were in a factory in southern China. Yeah. And of course, China's massive, right? So those distances are actually pretty big. Were most of the people in your factory, were they mostly southern, or were they from all over the place?
The biggest provinces for sourcing people is Hubei. That's why China stuck when it was like coronavirus, Hubei was closed, and even other factories start to work. People from Hubei cannot go back to factories. So Hubei, Hunan, Anhui,
southern middle kind of provinces.
Yeah.
How come so many people from there come to the factories rather than say closer by, like for example Guangdong or Fujian or Jiangxi?
But Guangdong people don't work. Anyway, like it's funny thing is like you say like Shanghai people doesn't work, so Guangdong people don't work also.
They don't like to do kind of menial jobs. They want to do kind of management or open their own companies.
For sure there is smaller town in Guangdong and they go to work there, but still like Anhui, Hunan, and like Hubei's big provinces with very high populated, and they still doesn't have enough production because when China opened to the world, the whole most factories was on the eastern and southern coast, right?
Sure.
And only now there is this transition from the seaside to the inner part of China.
Yeah.
And now we can see actually many big companies, international companies, start to opening their factories in inner regions of China, and even Chinese government support this thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's part of this kind of revitalization of the entire country, because up until now, as you say, a lot of the investment has been into the coastal areas, which means that places in central China, they're really suffering, or they have been suffering from lack of investment. And so now the big centers are like Chengdu, Chongqing, Xi'an, which are all away from the coasts. And they're really growing into like these real big powerhouses. They have transformed into really, really beautiful modern cities, which they weren't before, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. I mean, they were just a typical small Chinese city.
They were not small by population. Let's say even Chongqing, like 30 million people.
Yeah.
But I mean, like in terms of the business culture and like lifestyle, it was still like a big small city,
Yeah, big small city. I know exactly what you mean. I think it's pretty obvious that I've never done any of this factory stuff. So I'm really curious about some more aspects of factory life. With the factory workers, did they kind of group into their own provinces? Or were they all like friendly with each other? Was there like segregation there? Like, did people form tribes?
No, for sure, they are easier to communicate with their homies. The first thing is dialect. The second thing, like, it's like European Union, actually. Really. I mean, like, China is like European Union, and every province is like a small country, let's say. And for sure, they prefer to talk and to hang out with the people from their state. There are actually a lot of stories I think I should prepare for one of the next episodes. I even had this kind of factory diary. I was like literally writing all things what's going on, with some like ridiculous stories, with some investigating thing. Have you read the book Poorly Made in China? Probably you heard about this.
No.
There is a Paul Midler. It's an author. He also was kind of a sourcing agent or a consulting guy in Guangdong and Guangzhou, and he wrote amazing book about this 90s epoch in Chinese factory, all the things, and it's called Poorly Made in China. And I was inspired by his book, and I also wrote so many of these small stories on factory and customers. So probably we can make another episode about factory and manufacturing in China.
All right, thank you so much for listening. We really look forward to your feedback, whether it's on our LinkedIns or on our Instagrams. The links are in the description below. So, my name is Lucien.
My name is Artem.
And together we are Young China. Yeah, I finally made him do it. Young China. All right, see you later, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.